Hi, it's Dr. Fox, licensed psychologist in the state of Texas. And in this video, we're going to talk about what people learned from their BPD. Now, BPD is obviously a very complicated and complex disorder. But as people deal with it and they learn to manage it, or they learn about different aspects of themselves, they learn about themselves. They learn about the disorder. So what I did is I put a request out on my YouTube channel to the community. So what did you learn from your BPD within the last 5 years? And I want to read to you and talk about some of the responses. And there were actually, all the responses were really great and really amazing. And I identified 9 of them that I want to include in this video. If you enjoy this video, I'd be happy to pick another 9 or another 5 or another 10 or whatever to talk about them. Because I think that it certainly normalizes the experience, and it also, I think, helps solidify the fact that BPD, and this is true and the research has supported this for 2 decades, that it is the most successfully treated personality disorder. So it's important to remember that. So let's get into it. And here's the first one. This is from Jennifer T. She says, "What I wish I knew, how my fear of abandonment would take its toll on destroying my relationships, and how destruction really messed up how I feel because of so much pain." Thanks, Jennifer, for writing that in. And I think that it's really important to connect the issue of abandonment, certainly, with destroying of those relationships, destruction, and all that pain that comes from it. And we know, if you've seen my other videos, that I talk about abandonment and how abandonment is one of those classic core content areas related to BPD. And it can really spur a lot of depression and a lot of fear and a lot of acting out. Now, Jennifer doesn't illustrate specifically what the destroying factors were or what really messed up her relationships, but that abandonment, as it tends to activate a lot of surface structure, maladaptive behaviors that really erode and wear away at relationships over time. And Jennifer T realizes, she saw this. This is something that she learned from her BPD, that the abandonment destroys those relationships. Thanks, Jennifer. So next one is Judy H. All right, Judy H. "How important having a solid self-concept and sticking with the values you find important is. You can try to deal with the symptoms, such as reckless behavior, your bad attachments to others, and learn as many coping mechanisms as you want, but knowing who you are and what you want is the foundation. Being content with myself keeps me grounded when things are hard, and it's easier to manage my emotions." Thank you, Judy H. I think that's awesome. I mean, you're really talking about the importance of self-concept, building that recognition of yourself, but also accepting yourself, the good parts and the bad parts. It's not splitting on yourself, which is what encourages that BPD. We want to be able to see ourselves as a full self. We all have things about us that are kind of questionable, that maybe not great, but we also have things about ourselves that we can embrace, that are positive, that encourage people to be friends with us and encourage us into, relationships and other types of aspects of our life that we want to build on. And just as Judy mentioned, that can really help when things get tough. And life is always there's going to be hard times, but there's going to be softer times and fun times too. And it sounds like Judy realized that having that solid sense of self-concept really helped her. Thanks, Judy H. That's awesome. Haley W. So Haley W. learned that I wasn't alone in the way I felt. I wish there was more support and more of a community surrounding BPD. The isolation is difficult. Haley W., I think that there are a lot of people who feel the exact same way. And it sounds like that you being aware of this really helped you, that you recognized that you felt alone. And of course, you want more support in the BPD community, but it sounds like this is something that you learned from, that you contended with, that you were able to grow from, and that isolation is so difficult. And isolation, in a lot of ways, can encourage BPD. It strengthens that BPD because it's that family in the head, right, that tells you, well, you're isolated, you're all alone, no one's here, so you probably have no value. And if you have no value, then you're broken. So if you're broken, then you're definitely BPD. And if you're definitely BPD, then no one's going to love you. And that becomes that spiral, right, that keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. And, Haley really identified it. She really tapped into it and that sense of aloneness and that sense of isolation. And she's looking for more support. And that's what this channel is all about. Great. Thanks, Haley. That's awesome. Sandy M. She says, I wish I knew about BPD per se. Also, I wasn't aware of how important mental health is. I started therapy 6 years ago-ish and was never told about my condition or something related to it. It wasn't until at the beginning of this year when I got diagnosed, and to be honest, it has been the best thing that has ever happened to me. It has changed my life for the better. And Sandy, you're mentioning a lot of things here for sure, and it sounds like you really learned a lot. And having that diagnosis, being able to really identify what some of those issues are has really helped you. And it doesn't sound like that Sandy's using it to define who she is, because you're not BPD. You may have BPD. Very different, and I talk about that in a lot of my videos and with all of my clients. We can't make our concept of self our disorder. Otherwise, how do we separate from it? And it sounds like that Sandy was able to do that. Obviously, it's difficult that people weren't telling her about the condition. Maybe they didn't know. Were they possibly keeping it from her? We don't know. But she's learned so much from it. And she was open-eyed and willing to explore it and grow from it and approach it. And it sounds like she's really using it in order to do her life different and make those positive changes. That's awesome, Sandy. It's awesome. Keep it up. This is a really good name. I like this one. This is Cater Cakes 21. Going over the science part of BPD, such as needing more sleep, glucose, what parts of the brain may be different, etc., has helped me accept my BPD instead of having an ugly internal voice get upset with me for not being normal. I'm a little more mindful and patient now that I know there could be other factors at play that are beyond my control. I also like hearing the different control techniques, such as splashing cold water on your face or other systems to help divert from unwanted behavior. Well, Cater Cakes, I think that you're really hitting on something. You're hitting on the educational component, on building that knowledge about BPD, about growing from it, about that it's not about being normal. No one knows what that is. So don't buy into that, first of all. And it's being a little more mindful. It's being a little more patient with yourself and recognizing those things that are going on in your life that are impacting you and things that are going on inside you that are impacting your life. And I'm glad that some of the suggestions I've made in some of the videos were things that you mentioned here, such as splashing cold water on yourself when you feel activated, and other symptoms and other techniques that help you certainly, divert from unwanted behavior, from acting out, impulsive behavior, possibly destructive behavior. Absolutely. But it's building that knowledge, using that knowledge to do your life differently and manage and control that BPD. And that is so, so critical. On to the next one. Laura H. She says that I can have a life and someone who loves me with my flaws despite how bad I get. I'm not plodding along wanting to die. The right support and people around me, plus your videos, knowledge is power. And Laura, this is terrific because I think that you've really embraced a big component of what my channel is all about, right? Is that knowledge is empowerment. It's about learning things and controlling yourself and not blaming yourself and shaming yourself in order to do things differently, in order to make yourself feel more acceptable to yourself. It's that central sense of shame, right? That we can feel bad enough to then feel good enough about ourselves. Human beings just don't work that way. And Laura H. sounds like she was really able to grab onto that, and that she moved away from very negativistic, fatalistic thoughts, such as wanting to die, and instead that she's embraced her life, embraced these changes, and is doing things differently. That's awesome, Laura H. Awesome. All right, on to the next one. Daniel S. So back in 2017, it would have been helpful to understand core content and the source of triggers. I realize this now after looking at my life journey 3-ring binder and seeing some memorabilia and notes that I have from that time period. Also, back then, had I understood the true instability of my identity, I might have done less harm to people around me in my life. Unstable identity is, for me, the number one criterion that I struggle with day to day. Thank you for your videos and thank God for you, in my opinion, IMO. I have gotten more psychiatric, psychological, social support from the YouTube community in the past 5 years than I've got from the standard 45 minutes a week, how are you doing today, therapy model over the past 25 years, I believe. Daniel asks, I think that this is great. This is showing really building that insight, and that's so important that we build that insight, we build that awareness, and I'm glad that my channel has been part of that positive aspect of your journey to move you forward and help you grow. And that's so wonderful. And understanding that part of your identity and not trying to shame it away or shun it away or just, distract yourself from it, but embracing it and really working to do it differently and recognizing the adverse impact it had, not blaming yourself for it, but recognizing and doing it differently in the future. That's how we do things differently. It's building insight, recognizing our core content, recognizing our surface content and maladaptive behaviors, and doing it differently. And it sounds like the Daniel S. has definitely, grabbed onto that and is doing his life different. I'm going to say it. That's awesome, Daniel S. All right, let's go on to the next one. This is from Iva B. I wish I had known that there is no fixing me. The best thing I have done for my mental health is learn about not only BPD, but also anxiety and depression. And keeping these facts in mind when I'm feeling overwhelmed and like nothing will get better. One of the most freeing facts was that BPD moods come and go fast. Yes, that means good times are short, but it also means that I can shorten the bad times by distracting myself or letting myself feel bad for the day, knowing tomorrow will be better. Iva B, I'm going to tell you, that is awesome. That's awesome. That is awareness. That is recognizing that these short-term mood swings, that they can be short-term. And I think that having that perspective is so important. And recognize that even on bad days, and she's not saying, Iva's not saying that, well, I don't have bad days anymore. They're all good because now I realize that they're short-lived. What she's saying is the short times might be good, but that means the bad times are going to be short as well. And it's not saying, oh, well, then that's terrible because my short times are short. What she's saying is that she's focusing on the positives. And focusing on the positives helps you lengthen them, strengthen them. And that's exactly what we need to do and want to do with this channel and how we control and manage BPD. Iva B, awesome. So number 9, our last one, is from Alexandra. 5 years ago, I wish I knew that managing BPD was doable. At that time, I already knew that I had BPD or BPD traits, but I felt mostly lost, overwhelmed, depressed, broken, and scared. I had all the stereotypes about BPD in my head, and BPD diagnosis scared me. Now I know that I'm not broken or evil. I am just a person like any other. Once my loved one asked me, who would possibly be able to figure all this out? At the time, I felt alone. I felt that I had to be the one who had to figure it out. My BPD will not disappear overnight. It will be with me for some time to come. I'm slowly trying step by step to understand myself better. I'm in group therapy now. The videos help me a lot too. Often, Dr. Fox's videos save me from getting deeper into depressive, maladaptive spiral and help me change direction to a more positive one. I am not so much lost and alone with my BPD anymore. I try to understand myself better and be more kind to myself. Alexandra, this is wonderful, and I think that just with everyone's, they're so heartfelt that you guys are reaching out there and you're putting information out there to help others that are struggling too. And Alexandra looks like she's learned so much, and about that component of loneliness can be so central to individuals who have BPD or BPD traits and trying to figure things out and feel alone. And if you've ever Googled BPD, it's not pretty. As much as I've tried to add some reality to it, if you Google it, still not pretty. And it sounds like Alexandra realized that she realized those components, and that made her feel alone and question her own sense of worth. But she's challenging that, and she learned from it, and she's doing things differently. And that's what this is all about. That's how you get control and manage that BPD. So that BPD is not managing and controlling you. You are controlling it. And I'm truly honored that this channel has served and helped so many people learn about BPD, build that sense of hope, because that's what this channel is all about. So I hope you got a lot out of this video, as I hope you get a lot out of all of them. So please like, share, and subscribe, comment, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.